Hey everybody, JCB here with The Awesomest, and you're watching The Awesomest Awesome List. Well, it's official. Mitchell Hurwitz, the creator of Arrested Development, announced that there will indeed be a 5th season, and that it could start filming as early as 2017. But that's not the end of the good news. He also announced that the very controversial Season 4 has been officially recut in chronological order, complete with new footage and new narration by Ron Howard to tell the same story in a more linear fashion over the course of 22 22-minute episodes. The first 3 seasons aired in a very linear fashion, complete with season-long story arcs and running gags that rewarded long-term loyal viewers who could recall the setup to a punchline 3 episodes prior, but it kind of turned off people trying to tune in midstream. So Netflix and its binge-watching based model seemed like the perfect place to experiment with the editing and storytelling for Season 4. This created a new character-driven style of storytelling that still required the viewer to pay close attention and earn each laugh by remembering punchlines they may have heard a few episodes before the setup. This bold but confusing approach came at the expense of the overarching story of the season, which left fans feeling kind of lost. This, coupled with bad green screen work, unnecessary cameos, and too much of a good thing runtimes, are at the core of most fan complaints. Needless to say, people who were fans of the first 3 seasons found Season 4 to require a lot more work to enjoy. So it wasn't long before fans created their own chronological edit, which many agree is much easier to follow and makes the show much more funny and coherent. The problem with the fan edit is that it's really choppy and really illegal. If you can find a copy, you'll notice that it feels very unpolished, as the editor had to kind of rearrange things to focus more on the overarching story, and a lot of things got left on the cutting room floor. Still, for all the criticism Season 4 gets, it had a lot of really great moments. So with this recut version of Season 4 coming eventually, I decided now would be a great time to count down the top 10 greatest moments from Season 4 of Arrested Development. Now these are not just the funniest moments, these are also the most important moments for the characters and the overarching story of the show. So these are both the moments that saved the season, as well as the moments that were just kind of nice little gifts to the fans. But if we're gonna do this, we gotta do it right. So cue the music.
And now the greatest moments from a so-so season, and the one YouTuber who had no choice but to put them all together. It's the best of Arrested Development, Season 4. Longtime fans remember back to Season 1, when we learned that Michael's wife Tracy Bluth had died of cancer, leaving behind her husband to raise their only child, George Michael Bluth. But for all the information we have about the Bluths and their complicated family history, we never once got a glimpse of what Tracy Bluth actually looked like. That is until Season 4. George Sr. was filming a poorly dubbed infomercial for his new product, Baby Talk. He needed a mother to testify to the product's supposed benefits, and it is here that we first see a reluctant Tracy Bluth participating with baby George Michael in hand. Sadly, this is the only footage we have of the only woman crazy enough to marry into this family.
Well, that's impossible to deny.
George Michael hated his name, which he shared with a famous 80s pop singer with a less than desirable reputation. So in an attempt to distance himself from the name George Michael, and everything that comes along with it, he chose for himself the name George Maharris, seemingly at random. Unfortunately, a quick something search will reveal the story of an actor named George Maharris, who was also arrested for engaging in a sexual act, only this time with a man named, get this, Perfecto, in a Los Angeles gas station bathroom. Though I'm pretty sure George Michael didn't know this at the time. Buster Bluth was spending some time with his mother Lucille when they first heard a phrase that would become a staple of Season 4. Before long, these 2 little words would surge to popular usage.
So you can see why I need the testimony of someone who's not a hot mess. You're a hot mess! You're a hot mess!
Just 6 weeks ago, I was a hot mess.
Dr. Norman, we have a hot mess.
It's a hot mess.
The phrase would catch on in the real world, too, as one of the most prominent catchphrases to emerge from the season that many regard as a hot mess. Lindsay and Tobias were at an impasse. Their marriage was falling apart, and they decided to go their separate ways. Unfortunately, this meant going the same way after both of them read brief passages of Eat, Pray, Love and decided they needed a new start.
A new start.
A new start.
It was Tobias, however, who went out and bought the custom license plate to commemorate his newfound lease on life. Or so he thought.
Lane ain't a tart.
Ain't a start?
And with that, Tobias began turning heads and stomachs everywhere he went.
Looks like we got ourselves an anus tart.
Hello, Anus Tart.
I'm sure this isn't going to come back to haunt him at all.
Anus tart. Yep, that's me.
Joe Bluth was fond of calling his little brother a chicken. While completely inaccurate, his portrayal of the feathered fowl proved an effective way to torment his siblings, a trait other members of the Bluth family seemed to share. As the show went on, more and more Bluths would resort to some form of a chicken dance, culminating in a scene that is still one of my personal favorites.
Cuckoo-ca-cha! Cuckoo-ca-cha!
What are you doing?
Michael and women? A coodle-doo.
That's what I was just telling him.
Look, I haven't found the right girl. When I do, I will ask her out. Has anyone in this family ever even seen a chicken?
Wait, I got the perfect name!
By the end of season 3, we had seen Job, Lindsay, Lucille, Tobias, George Sr., and even Michael impersonate a chicken. In season 4, we were briefly treated to George Michael's version of a chicken, which isn't far off from his dad's.
It's kind of hard to do in these matador pants, but you know. Block.
This leaves only Buster, Oscar, and Maybe to show us their chicken dance in season 5.
Oh, come on!
Michael Bluth was desperate. Having bet all of his chips on the completion of Sudden Valley, he now needed to sell some homes. So it was during an interview with in-flight magazine Altitude that he pressed his palms together in a misguided attempt to seem humble, but that would later be described as prayer hands. This gesture would prove to be yet another trait shared by the Bluth family throughout season 4.
Seriously, shoot me if you ever catch me doing that.
Whether it's Lindsay feigning spirituality, or Father B welcoming people to the sweat lodge, prayer hands found a way to make us laugh with nothing more than a look.
All you need is smiles. Lots and lots of smiley smiles.
George Sr. arrived at the country club only to find he'd already been seated. Or at least his twin brother Oscar had.
But I'm going to sit opposite you, so it won't look bad.
Over the course of their conversation, it became clear to George Sr. that he doesn't have any friends. And always the generous brother, Oscar Bluth decided to offer his friends to George.
You're welcome to my friends, brother.
To which George Sr. replied, with a line that's become a meme of its own,
I don't want these.
it is the same phrase Job would utter when his new fiancée Anne, yes her, offered a sad and confused Job her family.
I don't want these.
It is a feeling many of us can relate to, but few would so blatantly state outright. And so with his new license plate installed, Tobias returned to the model home, now dressed in a knockoff costume of Fantastic Four's The Thing, complete with cutoffs. Unaware that the model home had been rented out to John Beard's television program To Entrap a Local Predator, Tobias, staying true to form, entered the home eager to change out of his costume and called out to his daughter Maybe.
Daddy needs to get his rocks off.
Shortly thereafter, Tobias was arrested and forced to register as a sex offender.
I just broke my skull in a 4th place. The patio.
Buster Bluth was back in the Army. Well, kind of. It was during his deployment as a drone pilot that he was wounded in battle and rushed to the nearest Army hospital, where he was treated like a hero.
Your son went down while piloting a plane over Afghanistan. He deserves a big hand for that, and we gave him one.
So you fell out of a chair, and for this the government gives you applause?
No, a big hand.
This is why you can't keep a job in...
This, of course, caused some problems.
I'm a mug.
Do you have any ice cream?
Job Bluth has long been the source of some of the most quotable Arrested Development quotes.
The guy in the $4,000 suit is holding the elevator, but the guy doesn't make that in 3 months. Come on!
I've made a huge mistake.
So it's only fitting that the most referenced gag of season 4, and the #1 spot on this list, goes to a joke that is so simple and perfect that it requires no words. Only the sound of silence. First appearing after Job realizes he's committed the rest of his life to Anne, Job lets the feeling of regret wash over him.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've made a huge mistake.
This musical cue would become a running gag over the rest of the season, culminating in a mariachi instrumental version of the song during the Cinco de Cuatro celebration.
Oh, it's not us.
Anyway, that's my list of the greatest moments from Arrested Development Season 4. Did I miss anything? Was there anything you wish I had included? Let me know down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as I release new videos every week. And until next time, keep being awesome. Is it even important to get people to like, comment, and subscribe? Well, I bet you could probably guess why I want you to subscribe to my channel. Because I don't have any friends. But really, it just makes everything easier. If you enjoy this video, you'll probably enjoy my next one. But YouTube is overflowing with videos, so the chances of you randomly stumbling upon my channel again are pretty slim, unless you subscribe.